What is up guys, this is SpaceKryptonite here to talk about why do I play this ruined game. The history of Robocraft has been through a lot. It has risen to be loved by many and created cherishable memories that make us proud to play the game in that era, but it has also left behind a dark trail of hatred. It brews among a lot of the veterans that have played the old version. From harassing Youngcast for promoting a game to telling everyone that Robocraft is terrible to making claims that Robocraft is pay to win. Today, I want to focus on giving you a taste of the past and explaining to you why many veterans believe that Robocraft is ruined. But before we can do that, we must travel through the mines.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt.
Year 2014 of Robocraft had many great features and was the golden age of Robocraft. Although Robocraft was created in 2013, it didn't reach the public eyes until it hit Steam early 2014. Robocraft used to have a form of progression, as well as the pilot seat, which was the core element to building. Bots were ranked by tiers, where you would start from tier 1 and climb your way up to tier 10. Tiers also had separate parts associated with tiers, such as T1 SMGs, T2 SMGs, and so forth. The only way to unlock more parts was by spending tech points on the tech tree, which is earned after battle. The tech tree gave the awesome feeling of being rewarded and achieving something. Bot designs were given only one type of weapon, with the exception of Tesla blades since they were technically a melee weapon. Matchmaking was more balanced. Matchmaking ensured that your team had some medics, and your tier would pretty much define what tier players you were up against. The in-game currency were known as RP and GC. RP was earned by your performance after matches, while GC was a paid currency that can purchase weapons, unlock bays, skip past all that tech tree grind with real money. Gameplay wise, plasmas had one-shot capabilities since they fired volleys of plasmas all at once. Rails were powerhouses when it came to damage, and with the downside of long reloads. Teslas were one-time use per blade until you had a medic to heal you back up, but there was no energy, no modules, no crates. Robocraft was organic. Year 2015 of Robocraft had one of the biggest additions to the game's end goal, which were megabots. This was the true satisfaction and allowed players to build massive megas. These megabots were glorious and was the foundation of Robocraft's bragging rights to say that you built that. It was also the year that introduced the CRF, which is known as the factory, where players could sell and even rent their bots to the public. It was the year that Battle Arena was introduced, and although it took time for people to actually love the game mode, it suited well for the style of Robocraft. The glorious TX1 cubes was the next level cube and was unique compared to all the other tiered cubes. This was a cube that was 3 times tankier than the T10 cube, but was super lightweight and used up to 3 CPU instead of 1. These were times where YouTubers like Rosefall and Avax still loved to play Robocraft. Everything was perfect, and I haven't even touched the surface on all of the features that was in the game. Then the vision came, and this was the point where the nostalgia for veterans would change forever. The vision of Robocraft, which is today. Full Spectrum Combat Update was the first step into the vision. It was the flattening of tiers, where tiers would be removed and everyone would be on equal grounds. It was the update that removed the pilot seat, a feature that was the sanctuary of skilled building. There were other updates along the way that made players feel left in the dark as to what was going on in the Free Jam headquarters, but nothing hit harder than the Epic Loot update. This was the update that struck a blow to many veterans, and it came out of nowhere. Throughout updates leading to Epic Loot, things they loved were slowly being removed. The tech tree removed, Megabots removed, TX1 cubes removed, RP and GC all removed. Epic Loot also implemented the recycle to forge movement that had very awful recycle rates as robots was hard to come by. Robocraft had an ongoing civil war on Reddit, the forums, and Steam reviews, dropping to mostly negative. This was the war of the veterans, and it still continues today, with the most recent event being the video release of a Yogcast member, Duncan. You can smell the veterans in the chat that explain that Robocraft is paid to win. It is not the same as what it used to be, and that Robocraft is ruined. So here we are in today's Robocraft, haunted by memories of its past, a ruined game. But is it really ruined, or is it a blindness of nostalgia? Let's repeat this video, but in the perspective of more of a truthful statements on its flaws. You know, the place where someone can be honest about the good old Robocraft. Year 2014 of Robocraft had many great features. It was the rise of over-tiering, also known as seal clubbing. This is a method where players would bring out overpowered weapons to lower tiers. They often had less health, but it didn't really matter since the main focus was to target the parts around the pilot seat for easy kills. It had progression, but you could skip that entirely via the tech tree. With the use of GC transferring to Uber points, you could essentially start seal clubbing early on if you wanted to, but don't have anyone tell you it is not paid to win. It is just progressing to start with better weapons. Matchmaking was amazing with tier 1 through 10, but never accounted for skill. The low tiers were destined for players to versus new players, but it was common to see skilled players play low tiers for the sake of boredom. The tiers of weapons were glorious, that once you reach tier 10, all those other low tier weapons were pretty much obsolete. It's not like you used them anyway, since reaching tier 10 was the goal, so you are left with the shop having a cluster of items that you don't use. Art bots were a thing, which I don't discriminate for their efforts. They made Robocraft fun and engaging to awesome builds, but tiers of cubes were a problem. Colored cubes are based off of their tier, meaning you have to unlock them via tech tree by tech points or by buying them with real money. This meant new players could create art bots with only white and brown. Medics were helpful, but they also had 8 other players to look out for, so chances of being revived in the battlefield were fairly slim, unless he was your friend. If you wanted to build more bots, you had to buy more bays, which is fine for a game that doesn't want you to explore the many possibilities of building. Premium also existed back in these days. It offered 2 times XP and 2 times of income of RP, but it also didn't have lifetime premium, so you had to keep buying more premium for these benefits. Gameplay wise, the game was amazing. When you faced bots that could go thousands of miles per hour, and consider that bot to be legal. There are more, but I need to move on to the next year. Year 2015 of Robocraft had the end goal, which also was the generation of statue builds in public matches and griefing. Being in elimination as a Megabot was a lot of pressure. It was either come in with the best Megabot or get out. People had passion to show their work, but there was a huge gap between showing off your cool bot versus your bot needs to win. Megabots also brought about the tactic among medics, which was Hug the Mega. This was an ongoing fight between 2 Megabots that had a large health pool, but are constantly being healed. I also forgot to mention drones, but not many really cared for them because, you know, that ruined the image of Robocraft. And you don't want to know that drones has been around since like 2014, probably even 2013, if I'm not mistaken. The introduction of Battle Arena was hard to soak in, as gameplay resorted to shooting crystals as gameplay combat. Of course, health was reduced for crystals, but then the age of winning Battle Arena the fastest evolved. Some clans have set the record for winning Battle Arena within a minute. Of course, many loved the game because it was new and refreshing compared to other Steam games that are mostly not fun to play. Nostalgia, a feeling you get when something reminds you of a pleasant time or memory. A feeling that ignores all the bad stuff and just reminds you of all the good stuff. Being a player that played since Rise of the Walkers in 2014, I have the chance to stand up and talk about my experience. Many other veterans that are commenting will tell you otherwise, which is fine because everyone does have their own opinion on Robocraft. But the fact is, Robocraft has been dying since July of 2014. Sure, updates gave a boost in player count, but Steam charts don't lie. Many veterans love to use that term instead of saying over thousands of people still play this ruined game, as if those numbers are just, you know, not people at all. Robocraft of today is different. It is not pay to win, since every weapon, movement, chassis parts are not only just available from the start, but also have pros and cons. There is no over-tiering. You can have a legendary weapon, but it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get kills whenever you please. Some pros even use laser vaporizers and destroy others. There is no progression. Sure, veterans will often bash crates for being random for rewards, but does it really matter now since you can like obtain robots in crates, as well as forge any weapon you want in the game? FreeJam has added custom games, where clan matches are taking place like an esports tournament. Custom games allows you to do whatever you want, and sometime in the future you can create a custom map. Wheels have been reworked and are like supersonic speed. Nanos are getting reworked. Megabots are coming back, but this time in custom games. So, why do I play this ruined game? Maybe it's because I have friends that play this game and I tend to have fun playing. Maybe it's because I don't look at what Robocraft used to be. Maybe it's because I choose to try a game after not playing because of epic loot. And maybe it's because I admire how much the game has undergone through since its past. In the end, I believe old Robocraft was great, but the new Robocraft is greater.